Greetings and welcome to our discussion on how to create a picture-in-picture lecture video with high resolution. So right now I've already recorded and we're going to work with some files, and I have a couple of files that I want to point out. So I will have my slide deck. This slide deck, of course, is going to be created before the actual recording of the lecture. And this one's a pretty simple one. I just had a couple of things I wanted to highlight. And then I'm going to have the raw video. This particular video was around 10 minutes, and this is going to be what would be recorded on my DSLR. And then I have my screencast, and that screencast was recording the lecture video slides that I use, that I will show you where they go. And this allowed me to decrease the amount of time I need to do in post-production. Now for this particular video example, there's only 3 slides, so it wouldn't be that hard to just pop in 3 slides into the video in Camtasia, but a lot of times I do 10, maybe 20 slides, and that would be a lot of work. So depending on how you want to do it, this is a really good methodology for doing it without having to time each individual slide. But in Camtasia, and you can find video tutorials of this online, you can pop in individual images or individual slides into your video directly and not have to do it this way. So generally in post-production things, there are more than one way to do any type of kind of outcome that you want. Just find out what works best for you and your time as well as workflow. All right, so let's go ahead. Again, these types of files that I'm going to be working with is a slide deck. This particular one I just made in PowerPoint, the raw file that came from my camera, my DSLR, and the screencast that I took with my computer. So in terms of how this would be set up, let's start with the final product. So after I've already edited everything, this is going to be one video file. I would upload this video file then to YouTube and post in my learning management system. Greetings and welcome to our discussion on human population. So here I'm talking. Not only did we have this same style of lecture that I would do when I would be lecturing in person. So you'll see, let me move this out of the way. You'll see that I have a clicker in my hand. And the reason why that is because as I am lecturing to the camera, I'm also having my laptop that is off screen, but is playing the slide deck. So I have PowerPoint in just presentation mode, and I'm clicking through the slides as I would if I was doing it live. And this is going to save me time because this right here is becoming a QuickTime file, a .mov that I can then pull into Camtasia, and I'll show you that in a second, while at the same time I'm recording on my DSLR. So since these are both happening on the same timeline in real life at that time, then I don't need to mess around with the timings in post. I can just put everything all into one, and it makes it really, really easy, especially for lots of slides or a longer presentation. So let's go ahead and take this away. All right, so here I have my screencast. That's going to be a file, again, a .mov. There's my raw. Let's just close some windows. So after I recorded everything, then I would go ahead and open Camtasia. I'm going to go ahead and open the Camtasia file that I've already created for this. And you'll see that I have those 2 timelines. I didn't need to separate the audio on this. And then when I did, I pulled the audio off of the QuickTime, because the QuickTime will pick up audio. So this is what I would look like as the final project. Within this, you're going to see that this is its own entity, and I could move this around. I can move it on my face. Whatever I wanted to do with this, I can do that. So this is what it looks like at the end, but let's go ahead and start with what it looks like at the beginning. So I have my files here on my desktop for easy access. Let's go ahead and open up Camtasia. I'm going to go to File, New Project. And I'm going to grab my raw video file, pop that into my media canvas, and I'm going to grab my screencast. Let that give a second to pop in there. All right, so it doesn't, let's see, let's try that again. I'm currently recording this on QuickTime, so sometimes it may get a little frozen, and that has to do with my computer, not Camtasia. Oh, maybe there it goes. All right. Are you gonna go away? Maybe, okay. So we have our screencast here. We also wanna pull down our digital file that will be off of our DSLR. So you'll notice that both these files that look really messy right now. Let me go ahead and minimize this. So here's my canvas to work with. I'm gonna adjust my canvas. Let's see what it looks like. I'm gonna put it to HD, apply. You see that window kind of hanging out there. Let's pull that in, make it a little smaller so we can actually see things. So you'll notice at the bottom that there's waveforms on both, and that's not a great thing because that means that we'd have two audio files. So if that happened, these are the basics that every single person, right? So that's not good because my computer is picking up the sound of my voice as it's recording the screencast with QuickTime, but then also I'm having my microphone on to get clean audio on my DSLR. So the first thing we want to do is take off this audio. So we can just go to right click, separate video and audio. And then we can see the audio is going to be the one with the waveforms here, and then that's the video. So at this point, also I have started my screencast before I started talking on camera, and then I would just need to pair that up a little bit. So at this point, I would kind of give myself the opportunity to find where in the screencast I wanted to cut it. So it looks like that was kind of quiet. I was getting things ready. This highlighted one in blue is the screencast that I'm looking at. Let's make that a little smaller. Okay. So I'm not seeing exactly where I would need to cut from the waveforms, which happens sometimes. So I would want to just listen to it. And so in that case, I'd want to take this off and then see where I started on this particular timeline. So let's, for example, say that, just so that we can kind of get through this video, that I started my lecture right there in the QuickTime one. So I'd want to just go back here. I want to cut that to there. Make sure to cut the video portion as well, which is going to be the visual. And then you can also do this when they're combined before you did the split audio and video. So let's say this is where I wanted to start my video. And then at this point I can delete that audio. I'm going to push back that video to the start of the timeline. And then now my slide deck will play. And I would do a little bit better job of timing this if I was actually doing the editing. See there, I'm just doing my setup, checking my light, fluffing my hair, but my hair is continually flat forever. All right, we don't need to see too much of that. So let's say that I started here. Boop. Okay, there's a big smile. There's the big inhale. I'm gonna drag this to the playhead. And now you can grab these and put them in different timelines as needed with what you're doing. So now I have two layers. And I could leave it like that, but that looks kind of silly. Now, when I did the actual production, I was sure to have some area here because I knew I wanted to put my slide deck here. And this is why I'm standing kind of over on the right third and having this kind of textured background. And there's that light that I showed in lighting that changes different colors as my backdrop. Also, you'll notice that in this take, I did not notice that the light pole was sticking into the frame, which happens, right? Especially when you're a solo production person, but not a problem. We can just fix that in post. So let's go ahead and make this big. Actually, let's crop that first. So we can go to the crop tool. We're just going to pull that in a little bit, crop out that pole. All right, now we're going to make this the whole one. Oop, maybe. Oh, now it's trying to recrop. Oop. Okay, let's go back to crop. Take off the crop tool. There we go. Now we're into auto adjust tool. So let's go ahead and make that this way. All right, so we need to make it a little bit smaller. And then now that I cropped it, it's a little bit off on the sizing, which is fine. I just need to play around with it a little bit to make sure all the black is covered. And that means it'll be a little bit tighter shot, but that's all right. Okay. All right. So now it looks like our screencast disappeared, but it's just behind. So I'm going to go to Arrange. I'm going to send this to the back. And then there is our screencast. So you'll see for this screencast, because of the shape, it has these black bars, but that's no problem. We can just go ahead and get rid of them with pressing the crop tool. Pull it over to the left, pull it over to the right, take off the crop tool, and bam. At this point, I can make it smaller, larger. Let's see if I wanted to, kind of pop it like this, make it a little bigger, maybe push it into the nice corner there. So now when I create the final video, this will constantly play that was recorded as I click through with my clicker. So I don't have to go through and listen to the entire video, because I know I did this particular video in one take. I just match them up, and then like here's me looking at the sky, because that's what I do when I think. And then this will just going to continue to play as I'm talking about it. So this is a nice, easy way to create these videos that'll have picture-in-picture. You're getting the high resolution because you are shooting with a DSLR, and then you can have your graphics and your slide deck already created and just pop that in from the quicktime.mov file. After this is all finished, I'm happy with it. If I wanted to change any audio, I can do that here by like let's take down the clip maybe, because I'm kind of a clipper. And now I think it's good. I've done all the cuts I wanted to do in trimming. I would just go to Share, Advanced Export, choose the whatever type of name I wanted to. I can change the type of file. If I want it to be an MP4 or .mov, I usually use it as a .mov, but that's more of a personal preference. Or if where you're uploading it has a file restriction, you can change it there. Then I would export it. I'm not going to export it now because it will take a lot of my RAM that I want to use for recording this. And then I would be done. So I would just take that file, upload it to either my learning management system or YouTube or Vimeo, wherever is most appropriate. And I'm ready to go. And that way I don't have to individually add these slides to the timeline. And this is how you make a picture-in-picture lecture video.